Welcome back. Here we are with yet another rarity for me in a couple of different ways. It's a totally stock return to a series that I believe that I was done with. We're going to space shuttle development. See, I thought, and I was fairly certain that I was done with space shuttles. I've done enough of them. I no longer have anything to prove with the space shuttles. Then they came out with this beta update, and for the preview video, which I was very happy to do, I thought just making a space shuttle for that would be just the thing, you know? I thought that would just be the thing to do, just for the cool visuals, something to everybody look at it, immediately recognize what was happening, you know, as doing the intro video, not just for people who've long been members of my channel, but just for anybody who knows anything about Kerbal Space Program. So I put this thing together specifically for that, and because my purpose in making Shuttle Replica 7 was to get some cool visuals out of it, I honestly didn't put any effort into optimizing the thing. The way, you know, this thing, it barely works. It barely has enough wings to support itself. It's got this 1,000 monopropellant tank. It's got way too much monopropellant. That gives it balance issues. And the way I've worked with the fuel tanks in order to keep fuel forward. During launch, I have both of these fuel tanks empty. I'm sorry, both of these fuel tanks locked. This is the one that burns, and this fuel tank back here is actually completely empty. It's just dead weight. And I have to manually, while through launch, you know, as these tanks empty, I had to manually go and right-click and turn this one on and actually go do the alt right-click and feed more fuel, and then do it again as it gets up here, and then hide all that trickery by you know, by turning off the GUI for the cool visuals. But also, in order to be stable, here's the gave our strong vernier thrusters up here in the nose. And another thing I did, one little bit of trickery. Let's get this offset. You can see, yeah, okay, I hid a big fat SAS unit in there. Here, I'll just pull the damn thing off. All arguing with me about it. Trust me, there's a big SAS unit in there. I guess actually that's not a cheat, really. Because this structural part there is hollow. It's an aerodynamic bit now. Yeah, okay. And let me see, also because whenever I was putting this together, I was pressed for time, and in the course of experimentals, we did not have the big payload bay part yet. We just had two of these little ones. I used two of the little ones, and honestly, the payload bay is kind of small-ish. So, and people wanted the craft file, and I gave it to them. I added a link to that, but it just bugged me. It bugged me to be giving a craft file for a vehicle that I know it may look kind of cool, but it isn't that great. So I wanted to do something about that. And also I was interested in the challenge here. I went to Shuttle Replica 8, and then we went to Shuttle Replica Final, is what I called it. Not interested in recording all of the trial and error in order to get this thing work. I just want to show you some of the things I did. First off, we fixed the fuel feeding issue. Here, let's do this offset. What I did is I grabbed a couple of these guys. I even forget what that part is called. What do you call that thing? The small hard point. Yeah, I did two of those and stuck them on there and stuck fuel lines so that the fuel will drain out of this tank first, and it'll draw the fuel up. And that's to keep the mass forward, which is absolutely essential for this design in order to be stable. Alright, I want to hide it back in there. There we go. Okay, so we fixed that, and no longer have to be right-clicking on things. I also set this up, I gave it a longer payload bay, and because I wanted this to be a genuinely useful space shuttle, even though still working just in stock, the total stock game, stock aerodynamics, I gave it what's the traditional big payload that people use is the big orange tank. That's the payload, yeah, the orange tank with the probe core and two of the big the big docking nodes. What do you call it? Docking clamps, clampetrons, whatever the hell those things are. Yeah. So our payload is a grand total of 36 tons. I guess that's the standard people do. That's if you want to have something that you're going to call a heavy lifter. That's pretty much the minimum, isn't it? In the current state of Kerbal Space Program. In order to take the increased mass, we altered the solid rocket boosters. Now we got a cluster of 7. I was running into issues with balancing the thrust on these. You know, as they burn, you know, all these are full of fuel. You can see our thrust limiter. So the thrust to weight ratio steadily increases, and just right before they burned out, they were just making way too much thrust, and I was losing control of the vehicle. My piddly little 1 degree of gimbal range off the main engines was not able to keep up with it, even with our, you know, we've got a big reaction wheel here and another big reaction wheel there and the strong bearing gears. No, it was overpowering it. So what I did is I actually made these SRB clusters so that they naturally throttle down. The core SRBs are at 100 thrust. They burn through their fuel the fastest. We have a pair, you know, this is on each one, a pair that are at 70%, a pair that are at 80%, and a pair that are at 90%. So that's actually 4 different thrust values for each one of these SRB clusters. So it's kind of like it's shifting gears as you launch it. Yeah, we're going to demonstrate that in just a little bit. And that made the final burnout thrust much more manageable. Let's close that. And close that. Well, actually, here, no, open that one back up. Yeah, I consider this assembly right here to be an essential feature of any quasi-authentic space shuttle design. Well, first off, it gives you the ability to have 4 more crew in there. So, what the real shuttle often flew with 7 crew. This can fly with 8, and we give our docking port right in the correct spot. So, I think that's pretty cool. Balancing this was difficult. Here we go. So at launch, the OMS engine's not running. Look, our center thrust is still not quite centered on that center of mass. Not quite. Let's turn it back up. I got it to work. Finally, I got it to work. The center of mass moves. Okay, so as these SRBs burn, let's pull those things. Pull them off. Off, I said. Bam. There we go. Center mass moves down there at about the time that this tank is empty, and this tank is about that much empty. Now is where our center mass. Hey, that looks closer. Yeah, it's close enough. It'll work. And let me see. Let me see. That one empties some more, and then about the time we're about halfway through this one. Yeah, it's looking pretty decent. Then we turn... Oh, I see. We had these turned on the whole time. Anyway, yeah, about that time we turn those things on. Actually, we turn them on about the same time to get rid of the boosters. Yeah, you can just see how the center of mass moves as we consume fuel. No, it's not what I wanted to do. Okay, and when it gets to that point, then these things turn off. And we ditch this. Let's get the docking clamps off there too. And then, yeah, now just our plain OMS engines. Okay, so that it works in launch, and I improved our monopropellant situation by putting, well, first off, the cockpit itself has 100 monopropellant, and then we added a few more monopropellants around the side. Precisely 4 of them, so a total of 340 monopropellant, which should be more than enough for any kind of docking gymnastics you might want to go through. It's unfortunate that I do have to report that we still have the cheat going on. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted here. Yeah, the cheat with the hidden canards in order to give us more pitch control when it gets down low altitude. Frankly, I don't see a way around that in our stock aerodynamics if you want the thing to still resemble the actual space shuttle. I mean, I know that the proportions are off, but particularly in the wing design. The wings should come out here, and they should go in, and then we have like a flat piece that comes out here. Makes kind of a horizontal stabilizer and a big elevator off the back, but, you know, you got to work with it. There we go. But I am pleased that in this version we have our big lifting body delta wing is more complete. This part is not wing, that part is exposed since that's where the decoupler attaches to, but the rest of it, yeah, it's a genuine lifting body. So that makes me happy. You know what? We actually need to rename this thing while I'm going about it. Since this is going to be the release version, we'll get rid of our in-development name, Shuttle Replica Final. It's not actually a replica anyways. This is going to be... And hang on, it's supposed to be capitalized. This is going to be, if I can type, Pale Pachyderm. Because you can't just blatantly call it a white elephant, can you? No. It's worth noting, as I set this up, as I get to launch this, that I actually did test if you cut the amount of fuel in the external fuel tank in half, then it is possible to orbit this thing empty. You know, get rid of the payload, have no payload at all in there, and cut the external fuel tank load in half, and it's still stable enough, just barely, to orbit. So I'm pleased about that. So that could be the world's most inefficient way to get 8 Kerbals into orbit. And cost like 220-something funds. Honestly, I didn't pay too much attention to that, as I am a sandbox player. But you get like 100-and-something of it back, 100-something thousand funds back. So yeah, this episode of Space Shuttle Development is not so much about developing it as it is a sort of guide for using it, should you be so inclined. What we're going to do, we're going to stage, well, actually first to set my throttle to 0. Stage, and then we're going to throttle up to about 1/3 throttle, and then stage again to actually launch. Okay, and now we're taking a look at pitch control. See, our throttle has a big effect on the pitch control. The SRBs are trying to push the shuttle nose up. The main engines are trying to push the shuttle nose down. If you throttle up too far, then the shuttle is going to pitch nose down. If you throttle down if you keep the throttle too low, then it'll begin pitching nose up. And actually nose up, of course, is the direction that we do want to very gradually start our gravity turn. Now the SRBs are burning fuel, it's losing mass, it's gaining overall thrust of weight, so we're going to gradually, small increments, increase throttle. Basically just staring at this nav ball. You can see all the, you know, the different rates at which all the SRBs in these clusters are burning that fuel. Okay, and keep throttling up and starting to pitch back a little bit more. You can see we don't have a really fantastic thrust-to-weight ratio going on here, but I gather what this is, yeah, again, stock aerodynamics. So I guess you don't really want to be traveling fast down low right off the bat. And about the time that those first SRBs are going to be done, you can get away with going full throttle. Okay, there's the first ones are done. And a few seconds of full throttle now, you probably want to start throttling back as the next ones exhaust themselves, so to maintain pitch control. Okay. Yeah, whenever it starts pitching nose up, throttle back, and gradually can ease into that throttle more. Okay, need to pitch forward a little bit, and it's time to jettison the boosters. I did... Okay, hang on. And yeah, pitch tries to get away from you. Stage again. This lights the OMS engines. We'll just run the mains and the OMS all at the same time. And now at this point, it's going to be just barely controllable. in pitch. We actually need to throttle down some to gain a little bit more control. Come on, pitch back. Pitch back. I want to call it something that rhymes with pitch, but I'm trying to keep it PG. Okay, now we're getting more pitch control. Throttle back. It looks like I'm not going to get away with any more than about half throttle. Full disclosure, before recording this, I got one complete successful flight from launch to delivering the payload to orbit to returning the shuttle to a landing at Kerbal Space Center before deciding that I was done working on it and it was okay for release. So I don't have a ton of practice at this yet. Okay, here we go. Now I want to switch to my map view. I want to keep track what's happening with that apoapsis. We need to throttle up more. Try and get that apoapsis up higher. Okay, yeah, we still have pitch control at higher throttle. Now, okay, now we're at full throttle. I'm going to choose to limit my overall thrust. I want to limit my G's to no more than 3 G's, as I've found that comfortable in various launches in the past. But yeah, we're at full throttle now, and as it burns more fuel, the center of mass moves, and it's nicely controllable at this point. It's not trying to pull up or pull down or pitch down. That's about to change. It's now, okay, now it's wanting to pitch up, and I have to give it corrections downward. Let's actually throttle down some. I'm aiming for a 100-kilometer orbit with this 36-ton payload. Yeah, there we go. It's trying to pitch up, and you have to catch it. It doesn't really have the juice. Okay, let's throttle down more. Let's go try and keep it about like 1.5 Gs or so. Try to keep that apoapsis under control. Yeah, right about there. Okay. Yeah, and try not to let that apoapsis climb too much above 100 kilometers, as that'll waste fuel, and this bird doesn't have a whole lot of fuel to waste. Whoop, whoop. Are we done? Okay. Yes, we are done. Good. All right. Let's roll right side up. Hit action group 1, and that turns off the main engines and leaves you with your OMS engines still active. Let's roll this. Stage jettison the tank. And turn this fuel tank on. My experience so far is it is much, much more controllable. It has much better manners on the OMS engines than it does with the whole stack. Those end up being better balanced than the whole vehicle. And the whole vehicle with tank and boosters and all. Okay, so yeah, aiming for a 100-kilometer orbit. You still have to keep an eye on that nav ball, as it does like to wander. It's not. It still does pull on the pitch some. It doesn't want to stay where you put it too very easily. Let's actually throttle down some. Take this all nice and gentle and slow. I suppose I could at this point actually. I tell you what, I want to get this up above 70, and then I'll shut the engine down. Right there. Okay. Yep. We'll go and we'll do a circularization up there. Okay. How much fuel we got remaining in there? That is just perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. Okay. So, if you want to, for some reason, Action Group 2, that turns our OMS engines on and off. Action Group 3 opens up the cargo bay doors. Payload bay, whatever you want to call them. There it is. I'm enjoying the buttons over here to tell the vehicle where to point. I had never used this feature before in Kerbal Space Program. I understand that this was a feature of MechJeb, and also something that was in a couple of other mods, maybe. But I had never used it before. Now it's kind of nice. Did I say it's kind of nice? Kind of nice. I like them. They're useful. Yeah, 101.99. That was kind of sloppy. I'm not going to worry about it. It's close enough to a circular 100-kilometer orbit for my taste. Let's turn some lights on so we can see what we're doing, huh? Okay, here. Nope, nope. I want to decouple this node. Thank you. You see I'm still... Yeah, still control from here. Thank you. You see RCS is still on. That's already moving backwards some, so let's just translate downward. Again, got the bug. Sometimes the vents for my RCS show up and it's visible, and sometimes it isn't. Time was playing with mods. I used to install a robot arm in these things and try to play around with pulling the payload out with a robot arm. No more. Those things blow up payloads. They clip straight through them, and things get stuck, and things wobble, and then they explode, and it's all over. So let's just not do that anymore, huh? All right, Doten, Jeden, Kerner. Yeah, it's too bad we can't really see Dofall unless we click on the other. They all appear thrilled about this. Here we are. Oh, I need to switch vehicles. I need to say, what is this? I need to rename this thing. This is a probe. Now, this is Big Orange Tank 2. We have Big Orange Tank 1 is already in orbit from my previous test. Okay. I don't know what it's good for, but there it is. 36 tons delivered to low Kerbin orbit. Okay, now let's start thinking about a re-entry and landing. I think we're actually going to do... Yeah, we're not even going to do a full orbit. Well, okay, technically one orbit. It worked out that you want to do your re-orbit burn somewhere around when you're just above, say, the eastern edge of this mountain range. Point retrograde, thank you. Let's take a look. Are we clear of the tank? Point. Oh yeah, we're not going to hit that. We're fine. Okay, coming up on it. Yeah. See, if you cut the distance here and cut it in half, and then you cut it again in quarters, yeah, right around here, about where I've got my mouse. We're going to hit full throttle in just a couple of seconds. About now. Okay, and you want to maintain the burn. Keep it going until the blue path or orbital path comes down and hits the surface Kerbin, and it comes down where it's just even with this big island over here. How about now? Okay. Like that. And there goes Big Orange Tank number 2. Yeah, we missed that. Never any worry. Let's point prograde again. Tell you what, let's turn our lights off. Action Group 3, let's close those doors up. There it is. Looks kind of space shuttle-like to me. We'll get this thing pointed, so get it so it settles down in the prograde direction, and then we'll fast forward till we hit atmosphere. Oh wow, that used more liquid fuel than I anticipated, and may need most or all of that immediately before landing. Should have paid a little bit closer attention. It's alright though. Okay, and let me see here. Now I'm going to click on this stability assist, because we don't want it pointing prograde anymore. Now, at this point, what I want to do is I just want to keep the nose, keep this mark level with the horizon. And that'll give us, yeah, if we just keep this level with the horizon as it goes around the planet, then as our descent steepens up, then that'll keep just, you know, that'll keep a reasonable angle of attack with the wings meeting the relative wind. It'll give us a little bit of glide without introducing too much drag. There's probably, you know, in all this stuff, it's just stuff that I was just playing around with you know, thinking of ways to do this without using any kind of delta V display or distance to target display or in any of these other tools that you might be more accustomed to using, because I want this. Maybe it's worth noting that not only do I want this vehicle to be usable in the stock game, but I also developed it entirely in the stock game. I was actually thrusting backwards in the RCS a little bit, trying to burn some RCS, but I don't think I can get rid of it fast enough. Yeah, I installed no mods in the course of building this vehicle and learning to use it in re-entry. Let's hit that gear once, just so when I hit it again, it'll come down. And there's Kerbal Space Center. And yeah, looks like we were not perfectly equatorial. We're going to have to make a slight left turn. I'll wait until we get a little bit lower to do that. There's our cool re-entry effects. How come the re-entry effects always show up more on one side of the nose than the other? Somebody explain that one to me. I don't understand that. And again, yeah, still keeping the nose level with the horizon. Oh, you know what I totally forgot? I forgot to go back to the to go clean my launch clamps off the runway. Okay, well, we're not going to land on the runway. That's a really simple solution to that problem. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Let me see, as it drops below 20 kilometers. Here, I think we need to drop a little bit faster, and I need to make a left turn. Just kind of judging this. I'm actually going to turn my SAS off, turn my RCS off. Yeah, I want to drop faster. Just kind of eyeballing it. Like, whoop! Don't roll over that far. Okay, get a left turn going. And allow the nose drop. Okay. It's trying to balance it. I know that it needs a very, very steep re-entry. Okay, and at this point, I want to set my pitch, my trim up. Hang on. Turn that on. Okay, yeah, give yourself a significant amount of nose up trim. Okay, yeah, there we go. We balanced this out. We judged this fairly nicely. Actually, let's put that trim mark up at about the halfway point. That'll probably be good. So I actually have to push the nose down a little bit every once in a while. I need to pitch up a little bit more. Okay. I'll try to aim for landing along the left side of that runway. Now I may have come down too steep. Let's pitch up some more. The surface speed that you want to see at touchdown in order to have a nice, gentle, controllable landing is 70 meters per second. So it'd be a good idea to try not to let it slow down, slower than 70 in the descent and the approach here. Yeah, okay, being kind of a sloppy approach, definitely. I could have done this better. And as long as I get a vehicle down in not too many pieces, I'll consider it successful for the purposes. I mean, I'm not trying to be an absolute expert in this. This is just a tutorial. If you want to have a shuttle that will take 36 tons, or it'll travel empty to space, so that means any payload mass anywhere between 36 and 0, it will do. You just have to change the amount of fuel in the external fuel tank. Then I just want to show how it works. Okay, put the gear out. Okay, there's our surface speed kind of dropping. Let's give it a little bit of throttle, keeping in mind that I have only a little bit of fuel that I'm playing with. Look how fast that drops. Okay, pitch up some, give it a little more throttle. Allow it to descend some. Yeah, we'll just, I don't know, maybe we could do the, no. Let's not be doing any hijinks low altitude down here. Yeah, we could have cleared those launch clamps. We could have landed on the runway anyways. A little more throttle. I want to see 70. 70, come on. Alright, 69, that'll work. And it touches down. Chop. Yeah, throttle to 0. Push forward, pull the nose down, start hitting the brakes. I didn't bother adding parachutes onto this thing because it slows down and stops so nicely and easily that there's just no point in parachutes. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, 70 meters per second surface speed at landing, and it's nicely controllable. And I recommend, somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 pitch trim. So there it is. There is the pale pachyderm. It's good shuttle. It's I like this. I think we may try to continue this tradition that after we have an update to the game, we'll try and put something together in stock, because I did that for this update and the previous one, and I kind of enjoyed it. You know, I don't play stock often, but you know, this was fun enough. So I'll give a craft file for this one, and I encourage you to take a look at what I did here, and if you want to have a better vehicle, just take some of the ideas off this thing and make a better machine, because really, there's a reason it's a white elephant. The shuttle, it turned out to being just really not the best way to go to space. But here it is if you want to. You can do it. Okay, but good to talk to you. I'll see everybody later. We're trying to get my Chapter 3 series going, so I'm really looking forward to doing that. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.